Napindot ko na ba? Ayan, okay. So, ulitin ko lang. No? Here are the learning objectives for today's lesson. No? So, you can read it on the book as well. Next. So, what is supply and demand? No? So, most of you, even if, let's say, hindi kayo ABM strand, no? Meron pa rin naman kayong idea ng supply and demand. Kung ano ba yun? Ano ba yung tinutukoy ng dalawang words na yun? So, demand is the desire and the amount of some goods or service consumers are willing or able to pay at each price. No? So let's say a specific item like na hindi nakikita, no? A ball pen, no? So some customers are willing to pay for a ball pen for 10 pesos. Yun yung demand. While others will prefer a more high-end ball pen such as Parker for like 500 to 1,000 pesos. But it must exist. Kailangan nandyan pa rin yung demand, no? Kaya nga meron tayong mga words ngayon na demanding. Meron kang hinahanap. Ha? Lakas naman ng boses. Okay. May kasabay ako mag-lesson sa kabilang room, no? So, yun. Let's say bumibili ka ng milk tea. Ang usual na binabayad mo sa milk tea is like 100 pesos. Would you pay milk tea for worth 500 pesos? No? Isang item lang yung milk tea natin. Of course, most of you will rather not. No? Kasi ang usual price ng milk tea based on demand is 100 pesos. Okay na yun. No? Medyo may high-end na mga 150, 160, but 200 is sabihin na natin, I will rather drink something else, something much more refined, something much more luxurious rather than just milk tea. Okay. So how about supply? No, it's a quantity of a commodity that is in the market. Naririnig niyo ba si ma'am? Malakas yung boses niya. Quantity of a commodity that is in the market and available for purchase at a particular price. So ibig sabihin, ito yung amount ng items for your demand. So let's say, nagtitinda ka ng ballpen at 20 pesos each, and then you have the supply of 150 pieces. Then that is your supply. Or pwede mo rin tawagin siyang inventory. Pero for economics kasi, pangkalahatan na siya. So it should be called as supply. Huh? Quantity of a commodity. So yan na. Kung gaano karami na nasa market. No? And available for purchase. So ibig sabihin, pag bumili ka, meron kang makukuha na item. Hindi pwedeng bibili ka, sabihin nila, sir, ma'am, wala po. No? So ibig sabihin, walang supply yung item. Yan. So demand schedule. No? So as you can see, if you have the book, ano ba yan? Anong item yan? Nakakalimutan ko tuloy. Wait lang ha. Okay, on page 32 of the book, Applied Economics, no? Ano po ba yung demand schedule? No? It is a table that reflects the quantity demanded of a good or service at different price levels. So, nangyayari yan katulad, let's say, if you're familiar with Divisoria, no? So, sa Divisoria, pwede kang bumili ng items, whether wholesale or retail. Or kung sa Tagalog, tingi or bultuhan. No? So, here is a sample sa table 4.1 of price and quantity demanded. So, let's say, pag 15 pieces yung kailangan mo, no? Then, ang presyo niya is 10 pesos per piece. But, kung let's say 30 na yung kailangan mong items, then they might give a discount. No? Siyempre, ano na yan maramihan na po yung item na binibili natin. Hindi na siya tingi. No? So, 8 pesos na lang siya per piece. And then, pag habang dumadami yung items mo, no? As you can see, nung 60 na, 4 pesos na lang per piece. No? So, ang liit na lang ng diferensya niya. No? From 15 pieces times 10 is 150. Whereas kung 60 times 4, 240. 90 pesos lang yung difference ng 15 pieces versus 60 pieces. In this scenario, no? So, as much as possible, bumili kayo ng maramihan rather than yung patingi-tingi, no? It's a problem in the Philippine society. Can't blame us. Let's say, bibili ka ng mantika. Usually, bumibili lang ng mga maliliit na container rather than yung malakihan, no? So, the demand schedule is a table that reflects the quantity demanded of a good or service at different price levels, and it can be graphed as a continuous demand curve on a chart wherein the y-axis represents the price and x-axis represents quantity. So, ito yung pinaka-sample, no? Ayan. Medyo iba lang siya ng konti sa book, pero similar pa rin siya, no? So, assume na lang natin na ito yung 15, 30, and then 45. No? So, it can be glanced at table 4.1 that there is an inverse relationship. No? Balikan natin si 4.1. Inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. No? Such that, as the price goes down, no? Bumababa yung presyo mo, yung quantity na kailangan mo, quantity demanded must go up. No? Hindi pwedeng bababa yung presyo mo pero same pa rin yung items mo. Okay? A shift to the right represents an increase in the demand for the good at a given price, while a shift to the left represents the opposite. So nakikita niyo dun sa 4.1, no, nung 60, bumaba yung price niya. No? Dumami yung quantity, bumaba yung presyo. Pero nung nasa 15, let's say itong Q1 is 15, mataas yung presyo niya. No? Note that there is a decrease in the demand for that good at each given price. No? So meron talaga siyang curve. No? Yan. Figure 4.2 shows a graphical depiction of a shift of the demand curve to the left and to the right. Wala. Meron ako nito. Wait lang. Ayan. No? Sorry. Mali yung sequence ko. So this is the shifts in the demand curve. So pag papuntang to the right, no, it's an increase in demand. Dumadami. Sorry. Whereas kung bumawas, shifts to the left, then it is a decrease in demand. No? So, bakit po ba nangyayari ang shifts in the demand na yan? No? Bakit hindi na lang stable yung demand curve? Bakit merong pagbabago? Bakit nababawasan? Bakit dumadami? No? Oh, okay, ito iba lang yung pagkaka-interpret, no? Pero same lang sila. Ito po yung mga factors that can produce a shift in the demand curve, no? Page 33. So number 1, consumer income, no? So syempre, as it increases, pag dumadami yung sweldo mo, lumalaki yung sweldo mo, the quantity demanded of a good normally increases as well. So let's say, anong bagong pasok ka sa trabaho, no? Minimum wage earner ka pa lang, bumibili ka lang ng mga 20 na chichirya kada buwan, no? So of course, nung na-promote ka, let's say, naging 20,000 yung sweldo mo, then there's a huge chance na tumaas din yung pag-consume mo ng isang item. No? Imbis na 20 pieces lang yung junk food na binibili mo dati, nung minimum wage ka pa, nagiging 30, 50, 100 pieces. No? Population. No? Ito pang kalahatan na to. As population grows, it also means that the quantity demanded of the good at any given price also normally increases. No? So, Sir, English. So, I know most of you understand naman, pero i-explain ko pa rin. Habang dumadami tayo, no? Let's say sa Pilipinas, dumadami ang populasyon. Siyempre, dumadami rin yung quantity na kailangan. Yung demand. Dumadami yung demand. So, dapat pag tumataas yung demand, kailangan marami ka ring supply to satisfy the demand. Hindi po pwedeng stationary yung demand mo and then tumataas yung population mo. No? Ayan. At a given price, at any given price also normally increases. So, kahit na same pa rin yung price, kailangan dumadami yung supply mo. Hindi pwedeng kumukonti or ganun pa rin. Consumer preferences. If the consumer tastes shifts in favor of a particular good, then there will also be an increase in the demand of that good. And a good example of such good is milk tea and coffee. Uh, 30 years ago, no, ang Pilipinas ay hindi naman mahilig sa milk tea. No? We're not like our neighbor such as Taiwan. No? Hindi tayo pala inom talaga ng quote-unquote milk tea. Pauso lang nila yan. No? Pero uminom po tayo ng kape. No? Ngayon, ang nangyari, nahati yung market natin for coffee and tea. No? Meron pa rin naman umiinom ng mga tsaa. So, tumaas yung demand natin sa milk tea. No? Therefore, pag tumaas yung demand mo, tataas din dapat yung supply mo. No? There will also be an increase in the demand. Maraming maghahanap ng milk tea. Maraming maghahanap ng coffee beans. So, nauuso ngayon is coffee beans na i-grind mo na. Hindi na yung tipong yung Nescafe 3-in-1 or Nescafe Black. But rather, yung medyo high-end coffee na 180 per half kilo. No? Ganun na ngayon ang preference ng consumer. No? And price availability of related goods. No? And we have here the complementary and substitute goods. Ano po ba yung complementary and substitute goods? Complementary, let's say, pizza. No? Hindi ka pwedeng kumain ng pizza ng walang pizza sauce as much as possible. No? Or hindi pwedeng kumain ka ng pizza ng walang harina. Or noodles na walang noodles. No? So they go hand in hand. No? Okay. So merong sample dito later. No? Yung substitute goods naman, let's say, usually ang palaman nyo sa tinapay ay butter. No? Anchor butter. Hindi na ako magme-mention ng brand. No? Butter. Pero kung let's say you're experiencing some hardships, no, or bitin sa budget, no, kulang sa budget, scarcity of resources, then you might opt to buy margarine, no? Or sabi nga nila sa kalsada, margarine, no? You might buy star margarine, no? Pwede naman. Yun margarine, yun ang tinatawag nating substitute goods. No? Okay. So in all these discussions, the operative word used is normal goods because these goods are normally defined as normal goods. No? So yung mga tinutukoy nito sa demand curve are normal goods. No? There are other goods that do not follow the pattern and these are the inferior goods. No? So ang sample sa book is yung mung beans or munggo. No? Noong time namin, hindi masyadong kumakain ng mga tao ng munggo kasi gulay, no? Pag wala talaga makain, tsaka lang kumakain ng munggo. Consumer items like mung beans and anchovies are rich sources of protein. No? Nutrition na tayo, hindi na economics. However, when the consumer's income increases, their preferences shifts to meat products. No? So, syempre, lalo na kung nagkakaedad ka na, you will rather not eat mung beans or munggo kasi masakit po sa tuhod. Rather, you will prefer to eat meat products. No? Kaya nga mabenta si Samgyup. No? Mabenta yung mga steaks. Huh? Okay. Okay. On the other hand, there are special goods called Veblen goods. Huh? These are best exemplified by branded consumer products that consumers will buy, regardless of the state of the economy, whether it is doing well or it is in recession. So Veblen goods, yan yung mga high-end. Ano po ba example ng mga high-end? No? Let's say Louis Vuitton, no? Or let's say mga Supreme, no? Mga hype beast dyan, kung sino man kayo. Huh? Or sa mga age naman namin, most guys will prefer to buy watches as investments. Huh? Hindi ko nga lang suot yung akin. But some will buy Rolex. No? Okay naman yung Rolex. Mataas na brand na siya, respectable, and good value siya. Huh? Pero kung talagang marami kang cash or marami kang pera, then you will rather buy Patek Philippe. No? It's the most expensive brand of watches in the world. No? Yun yung tinatawag ng mga example ng Veblen goods. So kahit naghihirap na yung pamilya, no, minsan wala nang pera, di bali nang walang makain, basta makabili lang ng bisyo. No? They are luxury items. Yan. Di ba ako nagkamali ng ano? Mali nga. Okay. Hindi siya more factors. No? Elasticity of demand. Ah. So, what is elasticity of demand? Kindly read Bustamante. Miss Bustamante. Nandiyan ba siya?
Sir?
What is elasticity of demand? Nakikita ba? Ay, sorry. Ay, mali. Wait lang ah. Kamali ako ng pindot. Okay. Share content. Ayan. Okay, what is elasticity of demand?
Elasticity of demand, E, the measure of the extent to which the quantity of a good is demanded.
Okay, thank you. No? Mathematically, the price elasticity of demand is shown as follows. Yan, nasa book din naman siya. Percentage change in quantity demanded and the percentage change in price. So yung binasa ni Ms. Bustamante, the measure of the extent. Hanggang saan? No? Hanggang saan po na itong item na to ay in demand? No? Hanggang kailan? Hanggang saan? Until when? No? So the elasticity is a measure of the extent to which the quantity of a good is demanded. No? Yun lang naman siya. Inulit ko lang. No? Yung Q, wala ako nung ano, no? Q responds to changes in the price of the good. Ano ba yung mangyayari? Ano yung magiging consequence pag nagbago ng presyo? No? This indicates the degree of responsiveness or sensitivity of the quantity demanded attributable to a given change in an independent variable. No? So, medyo masyadong technical siya. No? Pero kung layman tayo as applied economics, ito lang naman siya. Ayan. So percentage over percentage, no? And therefore, you will have the elasticity of demand. Okay. Ito yun, no? So yung mahabang-mahabang article ng book, no? Na inabot ng 1, 2, 3 pages, ito siya. No? You have here 5 samples, just like in the book. No? You have here perfectly elastic. No? Bakit ganun? Perfectly inelastic muna. No? Iba lang yung sequence niya. So ito naman is it happens when E equals 0. No? Here, pag tumaas yung presyo, no, when the price goes up, the quantity demanded remains the same and expenditure goes up. So, kahit tumaas yung presyo mo, hindi nagbabago yung demand. Yun at yun pa rin ang yun pa rin ang demand mo. No? So, let's say dati 10 pesos siya. Ang bumibili sa'yo mga 100,000. No? Nung naging 15 pesos, 100,000 pa rin yung demand. Ganun pa rin yung karaming quantity of demand. No? Then number 2 sample is elastic. No? So ito naman siya. E is less than 1. No? So ito, when the price goes up, no, this leads to less quantity demanded and expenditure goes down. So ito yung normal na nangyayari. No? Pag tumaas yung presyo, let's say a few months back, tumaas yung presyo ng pork. No? So pag tumaas yung presyo ng pork, people will rather not buy pork kasi hindi na kaya ng budget. They will ship to other goods, yung substitute goods. No? So this one, ito siya, no? Which is 4.4. And then unitary elastic naman, no? Is when E equals 1. No? PED ginagamit niya, which is price elasticity of demand. Pero pareho lang po. No? E equals 1. Here, when the price goes up, this leads to, sorry. A price increase leads to a decrease in quantity demanded. Pero constant pa rin yung expenditure mo. No? So, ibig sabihin, nung tumaas yung presyo ng baboy, yun pa rin. No? Same pa rin ang paggastos, yung expenditure mo. No? Okay? Okay. PED equals 1. No? So, ulitin ko lang. Tumaas yung presyo mo. Nabawasan yung quantity, pero yung gastusin ng mga tao, same lang. No? Proportional pa rin siya. Hindi katulad nito kasi tumaas yung presyo mo, bumaba yung quantity, bumaba yung gastusin. No? Yung demand ng item. And then number 4, E is greater than 1. No? This one, relatively elastic. So ito naman, when the price goes up, quantity goes down as well as expenditures. No? Ito yung typical na nangyayari sa mga items natin. Dapat ganito. When the price goes up, quantity demand goes down. So, wala na akong pera eh. Ba't ako bibili nitong item na to? I'll shift to other items or I will rather not buy muna kasi tumaas po yung presyo. Kung papansinin nyo, hindi naman sila nagkakalayo, no? Pero slight changes lang naman. Mas steep yung slope, no? Compare dito, saka dito. No? And number 5, no, is perfectly elastic. Ito yung parang pinaka-ideal form, no? Here, this is when E is equals to infinity. No? So ito yung si Thanos, no? He has the infinity stones. Here, a very small change in price causes the quantity demand to become zero or infinity. So, usually constant pa rin, no? Small change in price. Either mawala yung demand, no? Or dumami pa, or manatiling ganun pa rin, no? So, yung quantity ganun pa rin. Kung let's say dati 100,000 items yung demand, no? Regardless kung ano man yung scenario, yun pa rin yung demand. Okay. Hindi ka nalagay siya, no? Aha. Okay. Okay. Iba lang yung ginamit ko rito, no? But here in the book, you have the income elasticity of the demand. Huh? So, pinadali ko ng konti. The income elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of an item to the changes in income. No? So ito yung mga formula niyan, no? Though the book's formula is yun pa rin, no? We will rather avoid computations as much as possible, no? Yeah. So when alpha is greater than zero, no? Ito muna. It is easier to understand or to categorize relationship of variables and to classify goods. No? So yun nasa book natin yung tamang formula, no? Mas simplified lang yung formula ko rito, no? When alpha is greater than zero for normal and superior goods, an increase in income leads to an increase in expenditures. So, syempre, pag tumaas yung sweldo mo, then usually tumataas naman yung gastusin. No? Bihira lang naman sa tao yung tumaas yung sweldo lalong naging matipid. No? Ay, wala na naman yung connection ng share. No? Okay. Ayan, no? So, usually ito yung nangyayari sa atin. Alpha is greater than zero. No? And then, meron naman yung number two scenario wherein when alpha is less than zero for inferior or poor man's good, income increases and it leads to a decrease in expenditure. No? So usually yung mga salat sa buhay, yan ang nangyayari sa kanila. No? Pag meron silang pera, iniipit nila yan, nagtitipid po sila. When alpha is greater than 1 for luxuries, income increases when expenditure also increases. So, yung Beblen goods kanina, no? Pag dumadami yung kita, no? Let's say, maraming pera si Elon Musk, bibili siya ng mas maraming luxury items, which is the normal naman, no? Mas marami kang perang pagkakagastusan, then that's the time you will be able to buy more luxury items. And pag necessities naman, no? When alpha is less than 1, income increases when expenditure on the good also increases. Again, usually nangyayari din po sa atin to. No? Tumataas yung income natin kahit na tumataas yung mga goods. Or is it? No? But in a less proportionate level than the increase in income. No? Tumataas naman yung income natin pero hindi siya ganun ka-dynamic unlike sa goods. No? Like, let's say, minimum wage is 537 for how many years already? 2, 3 years na. Pero yung mga cost of goods natin ay almost every few months tumataas. No? Iba yung formula ng income elasticity of demand dito. But it's also pretty much the same. No? The supply curve. No? So, hindi ko na siya pinahabaan. No? You may also search, no? You may also press the QR code for the featured economist, John Maynard Keynes. No? So, can you tell me what is the supply curve, Miss? Ano tayo? Miss Gonzalez, what is the supply curve? Wala. Yes, Miss Brazal.
Supply curve depicts the relationship between quantity supplied of a good at different prices ceteris paribus.
Ayan. So, bookish pala yung ano no, galing sa book yung definition ko. Okay, no? Ito naman ang relationship between quantity supplied. Gaano ba naman 'yun? Gaano karami yung sinusupply mong items, no? Quantity at different prices. Iba-iba yung presyo, no? So what is ceteris paribus? Sabi nga dito, no? Recap lang, all things being constant. The supply of a good is the relationship established at a particular point in time between the prices offered for the good and the quantity. No? So, ibig sabihin at a particular point in time, let's say today, ang presyo ng, ano ba pwede natin sample? Cellphone is usually nasa 8,000 pesos. No? That firms are willing to produce and sell. No? So, let's say, marami namang cellphone companies or mobile phone companies are willing to supply a mobile phone that is worth 8,000 pesos. No? Bukod dun sa mga usual natin, si Oppo, Vivo, Realme, no? Xiaomi, Nokia, meron pa yung mga China phone. No? Pero yung let's say, magpro-produce ka ng cellphone worth 100,000, mangilan-ngilan na lang yan. No? If I'm not mistaken, si Apple nasa 75,000 lang. A quantity of a good that an individual or groups are willing to produce and sell depends on the price of per unit of the good. Again, usually sa cellphone, ano ba yung mas mabenta? Yung mamahalin o yung gitna o yung mumurahin? No? So usually ang ginagawa nila dyan, mas marami yung mga medium price. No? Tapos mas konti ng konti yung mga low end. And pinaka-konti sa lahat ng items is yung high end na cellphone. No? Kahit na flagship ni Oppo is yung pinaka high end nila, mas marami pa rin yung quantity ng mga mid-range products nila compared dun sa mga high end. Okay. Nasaan ako? Given a normal good, as the price of the good rises, the quantity supplied rises as well. Wow. Given the good, normal good, as the price of the good rises. So habang tumataas yung presyo ng good, dapat tumataas din yung quantity supplied as well. So syempre, marami kang goods, kailangan marami kang supply. Hindi pwede dumadami yung presyo ng goods mo, mas konti ipoproduce mo or isusupply mo. You have to match it. Simply put, the higher the price of products, the higher the incentive. Producers and sellers have to produce and sell more quantities. So, yun yung pambawi kasi ng mga producers, no? let's say mahal, 25,000 for a mobile phone. No? Mahal yon. No? Kailangan marami silang mabenta nung 25,000 na cellphone na yon para kumita sila ng mas marami. No? Okay. Wala yata ako nitong supply curve na to. So, ito yung sample ng supply curve. No? Table 4.2 on page 38. You have the price. No? So, pag 0 yung quantity, 5 piso yung presyo. Pero pag 9 ang quantity na ginawa mo, 45 ang price. Ang laki ng tinalon. No? Meron ba ako nung... Wala. Wala ako ng sample, but on the book, you have figure 4.8. No? So, yung S, yung supply mo is pataas siya. Then, pataas din yung price and pataas din yung quantity mo. No? Hindi ako makadrawing nung nung curve. No? Sorry. So, the supply curve is on page 38. Ayan. Ay, ayaw magsulat. Okay. Ito ba yun? Ayan, no? So, the supply curve is on page 38, pero paangat sila lahat, no? And then, nagkakaroon din tayo ng, bakit gano'n na nangyari? From current slide, no? So, nangyayari din yung shifts in the supply curve, no? Hindi lang sa demand curve, but also on the supply curve. So, supply curve shifts inwards and supply curve shifts outwards. So, bakit nangyayari to? Bakit mayroong ganitong scenario ulit ng supply curve? And here are the factors. Okay? So number one is the size of the industry. An increase in the size of the industry will shift the supply curve to the right. So pag dumadami yung mga players sa industry or malaki yung industry mo, dapat outwards ka. No? An increase in the size of the industry will shift the supply curve to the right, thus increasing the supply of goods. So dapat talaga going to the right ka kasi dumadami yung goods mo. And then number two is technological progress, which leads to an increase. No? Ganun pa rin siya in the supply of goods. So syempre, let's say yung machinery mo dati can only produce like, let's say 10,000 pieces of this item per day. Nagkaroon ka ng bagong technology, nag-improve yung machine mo, can produce triple or quadruple the output. Kaya na niya mag-produce ng 30,000, 40,000 items per day. No? So, ganun din siya. Shift to the right din, supply curve. Number three, consumer preferences. As the level and quality improves, it impacts in the increase in supply. So, to the right pa rin siya. A good example is yung mga mobile phones natin. No? Way back 2013, usually ang mga tao, hindi naman pinapansin yung mga Oppo Vivo. Unti-unti lang din sa marketing nila. No? So you can tackle that in your marketing subject. Pero noon ang mga tao, usually ang binibili nila is Samsung. Samsung and Apple. Bakit? Kasi sila yung mga sikat. No? Yung mga China phone naman dati, nag-i-improve lang din. Nag-improve sila unti-unti until such time na kaya na nilang kalabanin head-on si Samsung. No? For the market leadership in the Android phones. Ayan. Price of inputs. Increase translate to lower supply. No? So pag tumaas yung mga fixed cost mo, tumaas yung mga variable cost mo, no? So syempre mapipilitan kang mag-lower ng supply and the ship is to the left. Or pwede rin pakanan. Pero usually pakaliwa kasi tumataas yung mga materyales mo, tumataas yung mga utilities mo, fixed cost, then usually it goes to the left. Bihira lang yun to the right. No? Tsamba lang yun. And number 5, price of related outputs. When the price of related outputs increase, the supply of the good will also increase and will shift the supply curve to the right. Wow. Huh? So pag tumaas yung presyo ng items mo, huh? Kailangan dumami yung supply mo para ma-retrieve mo yung earnings. Kasi kinakain ng mga, let's say, gasolina, freight, doon na pupunta yung earnings eh. So you must increase your price. So of these 5, no, isa lang yung nag-inwards, yung number 4. No? Though pwede pa rin siya mag-shift to the right. Though in very rare circumstances lang siya mangyari. Elasticity of supply. No? So mas lumali yung drawing ko rito. Ayan. Mabilis tayo ngayon. No? 9:30. Okay. Huh? Okay. Ito yung when hindi siya E eh. Pero let's just say E na lang. When E equals 0, it is perfectly inelastic. Huh? Actually, yung drawing ng graph sa book is 3 lang yung pinakita niya. Pero here we have 5. No? So mas kompleto. Ito yung first case. And then for the second case, when E is less than 1, then it is elastic. Ito siya. Inelastic, sorry. Ayan. This is number 2 case. And then number 3, when E equals 1, it is unitary elastic. So meron siyang unit elastic yung tawag nila. So naka-increment siya per unit. Meron siyang match. Match yung price and yung quantity. And then number 4, when E is greater than 1, it is elastic. Ito. This one. And number 5, when E is equal to infinity again, it is therefore perfectly elastic at constant cost. So nandun daw siya sa figure 4.10. Wala naman, no? Hindi pinakita. Ito siya. Okay. So dagdag na lang to, no? Para lang humaba konti. The equilibrium of demand and supply. So paano po nangyayari yan, sir? Yung equilibrium, no? So sabi rito, it is a situation where quantity supplied and quantity demanded are equal. No? Nagpantay lang sila. Nagtagpo. Pinagtagpo at itinadhana yung dalawang items. Ito yung sample. Quantity supplied at 3 and then quantity demanded is 24. No? And then yung price per piece niya is 3. 3 pesos, let's say. Tapos dito naman, 18 pesos. And then quantity demanded is 4. No? 4 lang yung binili mo. As you can see, halos pareho lang sila. 3 times 24 is equals to 72. And 18 times 4 is equals to 72. Therefore, you have achieved market equilibrium. So, Minsan hindi nila binabanggit yan, no, yung mga presyo ng wholesale, no? Na kung 3 lang bibili mo, ito yung presyo mo. Pag bumili ka ng 18, halos pareho lang di sana, bumili ka na ng 18. So, kung halimbawa, bibili kayo ng mga items, kung magagawi kayo ng divisoria, no? Try to ask the wholesale price so you can make better decisions. Ito siya. Pinakita ko lang, no? But this will not be covered naman. Ito yung nangyayari sa kanya. So when prices above equilibrium, ito yung scenario natin, may surplus. No? Tapos when price falls below the equilibrium, then magkakaroon naman tayo ng shortage.